Well, if all goes well here, I will have uploaded a few other videos before this one where I replace the fuel pressure regulator, the fuel filter, and the starter. And at the end of those videos I hop in the car, I fire it up, everything works, and I'm happy. But the reality is I've replaced all those parts and the car still doesn't start. The fuel pressure regulator didn't fix my problem. The starter works fine, but the car won't start. And my problem initially was I wasn't building enough fuel pressure to start the car and keep it running. And I didn't have any external leaks. I could hear the fuel pump run and my cylinders weren't full of gas. So I decided to go ahead and throw the fuel pressure regulator in it, thinking that it was just bypassing all the fuel back to the tank. Now I got a new one in it and that didn't solve my problem. I was hoping on a whim that it would. It's kind of an odd way for that to fail, but it didn't solve my problem. So I'm thinking now that there's a fuel line between the pump that's in the tank and the line that exits the tank, and I'm thinking that's either sprung a leak or the metal line inside the tank is actually rusted away and sprung a leak, and I'm losing all my pressure right there at the pump. So what I'm going to have to do is crawl back there and pull that tank out and then pull the fuel pump out and look at the lines and see if I'm right on that. I can't think of anything else causing the problem, and something I didn't notice before I replaced the fuel pressure regulator is if I turn the key a few times and prime the system a bit, I can walk back to the tank and I can hear what sounds like fuel spraying inside the tank. So I'm thinking that's my problem. Well, there really isn't much else that I can think of, seeing as I have no external leaks and the pump runs and fuel pressure regulator didn't fix it and my cylinders aren't full of gas. So that pretty much just leaves that hose in the tank. So let's go back there and see if we can get this tank out of here. Alright, I'm back at the back of the car here, and I've dug through the trunk and looked just to see if there was an access cover or anything I could take off to get to that fuel pump from inside the trunk and make life easier, but of course it doesn't have that. In my experience, they rarely do. So I think the first thing we're going to do is pull these lines off. Luckily, it looks like I can just pull them off here above the wheel and they can stay with the tank as I pull it out. That one's got that white clip, same as the fuel filter, so I'm going to have to be careful that I don't wreck that if I can, because I don't have any more. Although it's not a big deal if I do wreck it, I can just buy another one, but if I don't have to buy it, that'd be nice. And then the other one's just a return line. Looks like it's just pushed on there, so I can pull that off. And I'll go ahead and take these off, and then I'll go to the next step. Alright, I got the lines disconnected, and I managed not to break that clip, so that was a good deal. Now I got to go to the other side and see about getting that fuel filler neck out of there. Alright, I'm on the other side of the car here, and it looks like I should be able to pull this filler neck out from the tank. If I pull the bolts out of here, I should be able to pull this whole thing out, hopefully. Might have to take that little ring off of there too, I'm not sure. Then it also looks like there's another fuel line over here, so what I'm guessing is this is the return line, and the one on the other side that was just shoved on there is probably some sort of a vent vapor line thing, because it doesn't have, the other one doesn't have the clip and this one does. So I'll have to pull off that line as well, no big deal. Get this fuel filler neck out of the way and we'll be that much closer to dropping the tank. Alright, I've got the filler neck pulled out of it, and down here I've got the fuel line disconnected, and the filler neck's all the way out of the tank, so that's out of the way. Also had to remove that little bracket, no big deal. And now we can crawl under the car and start actually taking the tank out. Alright, we're under the car here, and looks like we got a sending unit wire we got to undo. That's no big deal. And then up there I think I can just unplug that and leave the rest to come down with the tank. And then I've got these two bolts for the straps, one on each side, I'll have to undo. And I'll have a jack under here holding this up. And then I think once I've got the strap off, I can push this little rod here Let's see here. Push that little rod through and actually remove the strap, because the way the straps are, the axle is going to be in the way. They're not just going to flop all the way down. So I think I can put a punch in here and push the rod all the way through the hole, and that should take care of my straps. But I'm going to go ahead and spray those down with some penetrating oil. Hopefully the nuts will come off good, and unplug these two plugs. I'll probably get that one right there and get that other one, and this tank will be out of here. Alright, I've got the tank lowered down. Those straps came out real nice. I'm really glad this is a Texas car, not a Minnesota car. But I've got it down here, and I could go ahead and pull the fuel pump out just as it sits and make it a lot easier to just throw back in. But I wanted to drain the tank, get all that old gas out of there, and make sure that the inside of the tank looks alright, because it's been sitting for a long time, and I'm sure the gas in there is just garbage, so I want to get it all out. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this thing out, pull the jack out, and hopefully not spill too much gas. Well, I've got the tank all the way out, and I drained it off, and I went ahead and I pulled the fuel pump out of it, and just like I was thinking, that hose right there has got a big old split in it, so it's just bleeding off all the pressure. I'm not sure what I want to do to fix this. I can get just the pump separately, and that comes with that hose, and it comes with the new gasket, and I think it comes with a new strainer. I'm not sure, but I'm probably going to end up getting a new strainer for sure, just because that's old. And yeah, I don't know, maybe a new pump. I'll have to look at prices and parts and whatnot. But that's my problem. That's why I'm losing all my pressure. Split wide open, so that's going to have to get replaced for sure. So I'm going to go look for parts, and then once I get them, I suppose we'll throw this thing back together and back in the car. Alright, I think I've got all the parts I need to throw this thing back together. I've got some high pressure fuel line here for the fuel pump itself. I got a new lock ring and gasket for the tank, and I got a new strainer along with some clips to use on the fuel line. So let's go ahead and throw these parts in, throw this thing back together, and see if that fixes it. Alright, I've got the tank back in, I've got everything hooked back up, and I've got a battery on the charger there. Should be all charged up. I've got 5 gallons of gas. We'll throw that in, and hopefully this thing will fire up. So get everything ready and see if it works. Alright, everything should be fixed and ready to go. Let's see what it does. Sweet. Looks like it worked. I like it. Pop out, make sure there's not any major leaks anywhere. I think we're set. Now, as you can see, I've got no tires on this thing. They're over there on the truck. I got brand new ones. So, fuel pump is fixed, or that hose anyway. Slap the tires on and maybe go for a little drive. Alright, we got her running. We got our fancy new white wall tires on there, all 4 of them. So let's hop in this thing and see how it does, see how it drives. Should hopefully fire up a lot quicker now that I fixed that leaky hose. I still have a drain on the battery, unfortunately though, so I'm going to have to address that. Alright, I got my battery on the charger here, and I finally decided to investigate my parasitic drain. So I put the voltmeter to it, and I had a 3.5 amp drain, which is pretty good. And by good I mean substantial. And I went ahead and I pulled all the fuses one by one and came back and rechecked it, which took forever. And of course the drain never went away. So that led me to unplug the alternator, and once I did that, the drain was gone. So that's where it was the whole time. hopefully now this battery will be charged up. I'm just going to leave the alternator unplugged for now, and hopefully I can get this thing started and driving around a little bit, and then I can address that issue there. So let's hook the battery back up, take this charger off, and see if she's got enough juice to run. Alright, let's try this again. It's pretty nice on them new tires. Hasn't been running a while, so it's got a bit of a miss, but brakes are still good. Got no charging system at the moment, but a little bit at a time, we'll get her fixed up. Definitely need to deal with the engine here, but all in good time. For now, I'm going to call that a success. Park her back in the garage and keep working on it.